Okay, welcome again to the part 2 of the discussion about book value per share. In the first video, the part 1 of the discussion, we have discussed and illustrated the problems about the distribution or the how the stockholders equity is being apportioned to the uh, shareholders, or the two classes between the two classes of share of shares of stock, no? And we tried to compute and get their book value per share. The first part of the discussion, we got the two scenarios, no? We captured there the two scenarios wherein if there is one class of shares of stock, which is the ordinary share. We also discussed there the situation wherein there are two classes of shares of stock, the preference share and the ordinary share. In the first part, we discussed the situation wherein the preference share is non-cumulative and non-participating, no? To continue with the discussion in this second part of the discussion, this video will discuss the preference share is cumulative and non-participating, as well as the preference share is cumulative and participating. Okay, just to have an idea for everybody, let us just discuss this. First, the preference share is cumulative and non-participating. It is just this way. In the distribution of the dividends, it is the characteristic, as I always say, the preference share is being prioritized, no? The preference share has the priority as to dividends and as to net assets of the corporation. In this case, preference share is cumulative and non-participating. That means to say all the previous undeclared or unclaimed dividends by the preference share will still be taken into consideration in the computation of the book value per share. If the preference share has 2 years or 3 years dividends in arrears, as what they call it, no? Yung dividends in arrears, that means to say that the dividends are not claimed by the shareholders, no? They are what we call the dividends in arrears. And according to the textbooks, dividends in arrears includes the current year dividend claim or dividends distributed for the year. It is included in the dividends in arrears. So, yan ang tinatawag natin na cumulative. But what non-participating mean? As discussed in the previous video, when we say non-participating, any excess over the distributed dividends for the preference share, any excess of the dividends declared, the preference share will no longer participate, no? Hindi na siya sasali pa sa hatian ng natitira pang dividends. If the dividend is declared, amounting to 10 million or 5 million, no, for that matter, and distributed ang preference share for the first 2 million, ang natitirang 2 million, no, from the 5 million dividends will go straight to the ordinary shares, and the preference shares will no longer participate. That's what we call the non-participating. Okay, now let's go now to the preference share is cumulative and participating. So as what we have discussed, cumulative, that means to say all the previous dividends unclaimed and undeclared for in favor of the preference share will be take into consideration. No, we will still get the previous, no, the dividends in arrears will be included in the computation to get the book value of the share of stock. Again, the previous dividends will be taken into consideration and will be computed as part of the dividends in arrears to be added sa book value to the capital stock in order to get the book value per share in favor of the preference share. Okay, that's what we call cumulative. And participating, it's something that we have to really to take into account, because we really have to know how will it be done or how will it be computed in order to get the correct sharing. Kasi in this case, aside from the right or the initial dividend that the preference share received, the preference shareholders will still participate in the remaining dividends declared, no, in excess of the the percentage na natanggap ng preference share. So let's go on with the, as well as we always do, we really have to make an illustration for that. Okay, so let's do it.